அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி தானி பெரும் கருணை அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி 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 தானி பெரும் கருணை அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி 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 தானி பெரும் கருணை அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி
அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி தனி பெரும் கருணை அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி. Dear brothers and sisters, my dear sons and daughters and my grandchildren, I appreciate the organizers of Valalar Universal Mission USA for celebrating this 199th birth anniversary of Swami Valala in a very fitting way, with all reverence, with thought-provoking deliberation. I would like to thank wholeheartedly all organizers of this great event, particularly Mr. Prasanna, who has assigned me a talk on the subject evolution of soul today. I pray to the feet of Almighty to bless in all our endeavor a safe haven in the pandemic situation. Long live all living beings. Long live all living beings. Long live all living beings. Before sharing my thought on soul, let us understand what world philosophers say on soul. As well as Muslims and Christians, they think that soul is temporarily united with the physical body, and after death, it has a life of its own. They are not very clear on the reincarnation. Pythagoras says that soul has a divine origin. They also emphasize that the soul exists before and after death. Plato and Socrates, they accept the immortality of the soul. Aristotle, of course, only part of the soul has that property according to him. Buddhists, as we all know, they negate the existence of the soul. Jainism is almost the same concept. As far as Hinduism is concerned, it is called Atma in Tamil or Sanskrit. It is universal and eternal itself. At birth, the soul is imprisoned with the earthly body. At death, it passes into the another body determined by the karma. The karma theory is very important in Hinduism, which is nothing but willful and rightful deeds of the previous birth. Or in other words, the cumulative consequences of action. The cycle of birth and rebirth, which the Hinduism calls as samsara, continues till the soul attains a karmic perfection. We call it in Tamil as Vinay Kaliyu or Mukti. Thus meeting the absolute, that is Brahman ultimately. Ramana Maharishi of Tiruvannamalai defined the soul. Actually, he has done a lot of research on this. His very famous treatise is Whom Am I? Who I Am? Nan Yar in Tamil. He does a process of elimination. He first asks whether the external organs are the soul. No, they are not the soul. How he comes to that conclusion? I am saying it is my hand, my eye. That itself implies that there is somebody to claim the ownership as mine. So the external organs are not soul. Then it continues to question whether internal organs are soul. They are also the same answer. I am saying my mind. So there is somebody to claim mine. So there is a owner other than the external or the internal organ to claim the organs of their own. Who is that owner? The owner is nothing but the soul. Whoever is claiming that it is my body, my hand. When you say my pen, I am not the pen. The pen is different from me. So the I is the soul. That's what he concludes at the end of the book. I would prefer all our Sanmargis to read that book, Nan-Vyar, because it's a prelude to the Sanmarkam as the time comes. I believe Mr. Prasanna would have coined this topic for me, evolution of soul, as evolution of wisdomic aspect of the soul through various paths. The Tamil philosophy firmly emphasizes the soul can attain the statehood of Godhood. Peruman will say, Vallar Peruman will say, Kadavul nilai arindu ammayam maadal. That is the uniqueness of Sanmarkam. So far, all thinkers of the style have been emphasizing that, except few, that soul is immortal. There is no need for Valalar to again emphasize that soul is important. The whole mission of Valalar is to preach, demonstrate, and stand as a testimony that body is immortal. So when we say the Kadavul nilai arindu ammayam maadal, the soul should attain that Godhood, the question arises, what is Godhood? Whether God exists. Why should God should exist at all? This is the basic elementary question before one indulges. Science has given the laws of nature. It has given the secret of nature, but not the sacred of nature. Science stops at one point of time. It exactly stops at one point beyond which it could not explain further. When it gets struck, it honestly says that further investigation and research has to be conducted in this particular field. For instance, in cosmology or astrophysics, including NASA, could not throw more light beyond certain limits. Since they stop with the explanation, universe is ever expanding. These explanations which they make and stop there. I will narrate few wonders of nature beyond which human mind ceases to think. We are aware of the size of the earth, but it is amazing to think around 13.5 lakh earths could be accommodated in our sun. And one can imagine the size of our sun. Our surface doesn't stop there. Even we can place thousands of suns of our own sun size in one star. Stars are countless, numberless by any human mind. They are millions and billions. The science accepts that counting cannot be done. Yeah. There is a star called crystal star. The luminosity of this star is around 10 million times that of our present sun's luminosity. Malalar argues one more treatise here which we cannot just pass through. When we say that crystal star is having luminosity which is 10 million times our own sun, Peruman says our soul is having 100 million times of luminosity than our own sun. He calls our soul is having Kodi Surya Prakasa. The Betelgeuse is another star which can accommodate 270 lakh suns. Just imagine the revolution speed of a sun, which is mind blowing. 2.7 lakh kilometers per hour is the revolution speed of the sun in our Milky Way. The rational question now comes: who is keeping pace of harmony with the pitch of resonance of all these celestial bodies without collapsing or vanishing? Who is doing this job? This is the macro dimension of God. Let us spend few minutes on the micro aspects of God. Because Peruman will say, Peridunum peridai, Tiridunum tiridai, Aridunum marida marit parinju. Let us see the macro dimension of God also. The tiniest particle in our body is our human cell, which does the metabolism, anabolism, several reproduction, oxidation, excretion, copying and decaying. It's doing countless jobs. Who is driving these cells? Which is the secret and sacred of nature. Human body has a lot of warriors to fight with. The intruders or any foreign bodies when they enter our body, like germs, bacteria, fungal, and so on. The warriors, namely the white corpuscles, identify the external material on entering as a foreign body, as intruders are inert. They fight with them and kill them immediately. This is the another wonder which science is still evolving and evolving. Another wonder is there with the human reproduction. Just think of a sperm. The male sperm, when enters the female vagina in any ejaculation, which is in millions. In one ejaculation, millions of sperms enter the female body. As per the physiology system, the sperm should be adjudged by the warriors as a foreign body. But to keep the chain of humanity, the God has given a wonderful system. As and when the sperm enters the female vagina, it enters the uterus, it enters the fallopian tube, goes in search of a ovum, that's the female egg. When the sperm meets the ovum, immediately one single sperm enters the ovum or the female egg, and the ovum immediately closes the opening of the ovum, that's the egg. Immediately to cover the surface of the ovum also is a protein called transferrin. So this protein is produced with the female egg. So the coverage is also with this protein, which is of female origin. So when the warriors rush to the female egg area, they don't see any foreign material. They return back with a disappointment. This is the wonder of God. Otherwise, the sperm would have been considered as a foreign body, would have been killed by the warriors, say the white God. So in order to save the chain of humanity race, human race, the female egg or the worm, after a single sperm entering the female egg, it immediately converts the sperm into zygote. Once it enters the female egg, the sperm and egg combines together because it is a part of, actually any humans should have 46 chromosomes. The male sperm has only 23 chromosomes, part of this human cell, and part is with the female egg, 23 chromosomes. That's why you'll wonder, Swami calls that Anu as Pagudi Peradu. Is a part of chromosome is only present in the male sperm. So when the male sperm enters the female egg, 23 plus 23, one full human cell is formed. So these warriors cannot identify any foreign body. They go back with the point. Zygote is a combined full cell with 46 chromosomes. The zygote reaches the uterus and sticks to the wall of the uterus. It becomes a blastocyst, commonly known as embryo. Once the organs have formed, it is now called as completed. The organs, the complete stage of completion, it is called fetus. Why I am saying all these things? Who is doing all this miracle? Have you ever wondered how this baby is growing in a womb with a sharp absorber called amniotic fluid? Each and every aspect of the human creation is a wonder. All starts from a very simple, very small, tiniest sperm, which is of only 6 millimeter in size, 6 micron in size. As you all know, 1 micron is 1 by 10 lakh. And you know, out of the 6 microns of sperm size, 3 micron is the head size and 3 micron is the tail size. The tail has to swim because the whole sperm has to reach the female egg by swimming only. So when it enters, the tail is eliminated. So only 3 micron size of head enters the female egg and the zygote is formed. Only this 3 micron small head, all our fate is written. Who does all this miracle? In chemistry, hydrogen is a burning gas. And no material in the world can burn without oxygen. So oxygen is another burning gas. When two burning gases combine together, that is namely hydrogen and oxygen, still more dangerous fire material should evolve, a gas should evolve. But in reality, what happens? Two gases combine together not to form a gas, but to form a liquid, which puts out the fire. Two fires join together, they are not producing a mighty fire. They are producing a material called water, which puts out the fire. The same way, but sodium is a poison. Chlorine is another poison. When two poisons join together, they should form a dangerous poison. But they form a common salt, which is our daily food material in our food diet. We are struggling a lot to control our nuclear stations. Chernobyl and all, yeah, we are still remembering for their collapse. So we are struggling so much to protect and safeguard one nuclear station. Think of our sun, which is millions times of our nuclear station, where the nuclear fusion is happening every moment, hydrogen and helium. Who is controlling and protecting this nuclear station? All the above miracles are not possible without a creator or a controller. Logically, if there is a material in the world, there has to be a creator for that material. For example, there is a pen, there has to be a manufacturer of pen. There is a table, there has to be a carpenter. So no material can exist without a creator. The macro wonders and micro wonders you have been seeing so far. Who is controlling, who is creating, and who is controlling all this? So it is scientific and rational to conceive that there should be a creator or a controller. We call it as all possible nature or God. Natural questions are right. Let us accept that there has to be a creator or controller by the name of God. But the second component called soul, why should it exist other than God? Obviously, the God is all pervading, omnipotent, omnipresent, limitless, boundaryless, power and capable. But we, as soul, we have our own limitation. We cannot create anything in the world. So with this limitation of the soul, we cannot be equivalent to God. And we cannot be a God also, as of now. So there has to be a second entity called soul. The third question comes, then who has created this soul? Let us accept there has to be a second entity called soul. Then who has created this soul? Whether God has created this soul? God is a perfect nature. The imperfection cannot come from a perfect nature. Imperfection cannot emerge out of a perfection. Even a mother, she would not like to produce a baby with imperfection. Then the God, which is a perfect material, perfect natural force, how can it create imperfect souls like this? So soul, therefore, is not created by God. So soul also must be existing forever, neither created nor destroyed like God himself. If God would have created soul, he would not have done so without any perfection, since he is omnipotent and all pervading. And soul is a second entity in the world which is neither created nor destroyed, as we perceive God. Therefore, now we arrive at the core of the subject of the topic, evolution of soul. Now we have been seeing the God has to exist and is neither created nor destroyed. Soul also exists, not created by God. He is also neither created nor destroyed. Then what is the evolution of soul? And why the evolution should be there? That's the next natural question we have. God, as you have seen, the true nature, eternal bliss, effulgence light, all pervading, omnipotent, supreme power. Though soul is not all pervading or omnipotent as of God, but it has limited wisdom, limited potential, typically a miniature of God's grace and light. To understand this, we can take an example. If you take a cup of sea water, the water quantity in cup is too small too negligible compared to the volume of sea. But both are sea water. Nobody can deny that the water in the cup is not sea water. Both are sea only. Only the size of water is different. The same way, we too have wisdom. We too have light of smaller degree. So the nature, that God with the supreme power, naturally thinks, why not this soul which is having light and wisdom should attain Godhood? God, with all his ever-ending compassion and mercy, wanted this soul to rise to his level with eternal quality. The soul is also having all the qualities of God in abjuration. This is termed as unique, endless compassion of Almighty. Swami terms it as Taniperum Karunai. This is the unique, endless compassion of Almighty. That the soul also should get upgraded to the God state. To evolve the soul to the state of Godhood, God awards a physical body to the soul. He is awarding a physical body so that the soul can take all out efforts to attain this God. He is also providing in the physical body all the tools which are necessary for carrying out the worldly affair, to attain the wisdom and to reach the God. But unfortunately, what is happening, what we see in our everyday life, we forget the purpose of this creation of human body. Why the God is awarding this human body is only to attain the wisdom and to attain the Godhood. In Jivakarani Olukam, Vallarperuman says very clearly, this human body is awarded only to seek the mukti, siddhi. Mukti peruvadarkke edutha dehamadalal. He also reminds us by saying, there is no guarantee that you will get back this human body again once you leave. இந்த தேகம் போனால் மீண்டும் இந்த தேகம் வரும் என்கிற நிச்சயம் இல்லாததால். We forget all these conditions. Very coolly, very calmly, very quietly, comfortably forget all these things. Indulge in our everyday life with all our willful thoughts. So the very purpose of our creation is forgotten. So we misuse the freedom given by God. Along with the tools and faculties provided with this human body, He has also given some freedom, a limited freedom. Peruman calls it as Arpa Swadhantiram. Why should give this small freedom? Unless you have freedom, you cannot do all your deeds to attain the God. But we mostly do always illful deeds, and very rarely we do rightful. Illful deeds are called pavam and rightful deeds are called punya. According to Peruman, the illful deed is one which is not having any compassion in any way, in any form. And the rightful thing is the one which is having a tinge of compassion. Jivakaranyame punyam, Jivakaranyam illamiye pavam. This is what Peruman says, Jivakarani Olukam. According to ill acts in a birth, the soul declines in Keda. They take a downward birth from animal to plant. to plants. Peruman in Jivakaranyam very clearly says, who is deciding the next birth for us? It's not God. What birth we should take next creation is decided only by us. The illful or the rightful deeds which we do in this birth is going to decide the nature of our next birth. We don't realize that how rare is this human body and what is the purpose of this body. Where should we take the soul in this birth? We don't gain any wisdom. We don't upgrade the soul in wisdomic point of view. Once we continue to do the ill effort, illful things, they accumulate, and once you leave this body on earth, God does only one job. He is biasless. So what he does is just analyzes what are the illful things or the rightful things you have done, and refers to the book of law of nature. According to the code, for this illful deed, this soul has to take a birth of an animal or a bird or a fish or a plant as per the weight of the illful act. So it is a punishment birth. Hanuman says it is a dandana period. In punishment birth, the soul is locked up. So there is no evolution at all. The total evolution process is dormanted. He gives a very beautiful example. Peruman gives a very beautiful example, simile in Yogani World Cup. Then a person commits a crime and is sentenced to stay 2 years rigorous imprisonment. He is now put behind the bar. He doesn't have any freedom. So there is no earning of good deeds or bad deeds for him for that 1 year because he is behind the bar. The same way, when a soul is downgraded, punished to a body of a say dog, suppose a dog lives for 3 or 4 years, in this span of 3 or 4 years, it is not supposed to do any good thing or bad thing. So this 3 or 4 years is a mere waste to the soul's growth. There is no evolution at all. It's locked up now. So the birth is over. Again, it has to take a human birth as per the balanced deeds. That's called Sanjidam in Sanskrit. Because in one punishment, all these good or bad deeds done in previous births cannot be written up. There will be always some balance of good and bad deeds which is stored in Sanjidam. So again he has to take a human birth. Again he is given this rare human body with all tools like external organs like face, eye, ear, physical body, and internal organ like mind. Everything is given. And miracles with all these internal physiological and anatomical systems. So the purpose is well narrated. Hey human, please listen. You are given a human birth to attain the God. You have been given right tools and you have been given freedom. So the soul has to go to upper stage, it should attain the God. This is the very purpose of your birth. Again, this human body, instead of going towards the path of truth. Path of truth is nothing but Satmarkam, Sanmarkam. We go in Durmarkam. Those soul which hear, which respects the very purpose of the creation, they march, advance towards this Satmarkam, Sanmarkam, the rightful path, and attain the Godhood, like Swami Valala Resida. So there are classification of different births as per the number of senses working. For example, animal, there are 5 senses working. Say, sensory nerves, sense of touch, taste, vision, sound, and smell. These are the 5 senses which are awarded to animal. What is missing there is only the completion of mind's function. Mind is there. Even the plant has got mind, but it's not fully functional. So according to the senses working, different parts are classified. Only one function is working, the least birth, which is the plant. Only the sense of touch is there for the plant. So only one sense is working. Like that, it's classified 2 sense life, 3 sense life, 4 sense life, 5 sense life. That's how the soul is evolved. When the birth of a man comes, it is a 6th sense animal. I very carefully use the word animal even for a human, because just by mere taking a human birth, we cannot claim ourselves as human. Unless we use this 6th material called mind in a rightful way, use our freedom in a rightful way, our brain and wisdom in a rightful way, we cannot be called or termed as human. Thiruvalluvar says, Makkal. Makkal means those who use the 6th sense rightfully. If you don't use the 6th sense rightfully, then you are given a call, leg. So when you put a call to Makkal, it becomes Makkal. That's why those who cannot use the mind, they are called Kalnadai. One can wonder, everybody is walking by leg only. Even we are also walking with a leg. Animals are also walking with a leg. But they are only called Kalnadai. Because the call is there. Call means you put call to the Ma, Tamil letter Ma, it's become Ma, Nedil. So that becomes Makkal. So by attaining the 6th sense, the man should use his mind to become the state of God. The word man itself, the English word man, has taken the origin from man or mind, manidan, manam. The origin is there. So we are supposed to use your mind in a complete way, in a rightful way. Generally, the soul can get evolved to a higher stage. So it's fully functional only in man, that we should understand. The evolution of soul starts and ends in human body only with all infrastructure needed for the attainment of God. Peruman lists out in Jyogarani Vadukam the ways and means to raise his human soul into the state of God. When we can become God. கடவுள் நிலையறிந்து அமையமாதல். The only way what Swami Valalar says is to have the compassion towards your fellow being. Not only human, with all the living beings. The only way, the word only should be underlined. There may be n number of ways to attain mukti or siddhi. Mukti. To attain siddhi, it is very important that we should have the element of compassion in our soul. To have compassion towards our fellow being, we should have the feeling that we are all taken birth from a common source called God. That is the right. We are all from the same source. Who has given this body? All bodies on earth are created by God. So one creator. Then he is our father. So we are all brethren. Once you realize that we are all brethren, that gives a right to extend our compassion to fellow being. Because all souls are equal. That's why Peruman terms a right word. Anmanayi Urimipattu Urimi. Urimipattu means oneness. We realize that the oneness of all human beings, all souls, is the right that we are all from the same creator. Now let us think for another 5 or 10 minutes on the Indian religions and mukti. Because the soul's ultimate salvation, where it is mukti or siddhi. We have seen how the soul is getting evolved from one single sense life called plant to the 5 sense animal, then to the human being. We suppose that our whole efforts and deeds are towards attaining the Godhood. Then we need to understand the attaining Godhood is called mukti or siddhi. So far, the thinkers of the Indian style have been emphasizing mukti is the salvation for the soul. All religious thinkers and saints and seers have been concluding that mukti is the salvation of the soul. According to them, when a man, or say saint even, sadhu, leaves his body after a rigorous religious practice, he is said to be attained mukti. This is what so far the traditions of Indian religion believing and saying. When an ordinary man like us, if they leave the body, we just finish off the subject as death. Suppose he is a sadhu or a saint, spending all his time with the preaching of Godhood, doing deeds which is pertaining to Godhood. When he dies, when he leaves the body, we call them that they have attained the mukti. But we should remember, even that person is leaving behind his body, either to the soil or to the fire. Then there are second set of people, sadhus and saints. They just don't disappear one day after living a life of Godhood. They pre-tell, they forecast that I'll be denouncing my body on such and such date at such and such time. When the day comes, it just leaves the body and which is available for burial. The only difference between the previous one and this case is he is able to pre-tell, forecast his end date. The Paramahamsa Yogananda is said to attain this state of Godhood in Boston with all his followers and doctors. Vallalar differs from all these muktis. He doesn't deny that these are all falsehood. He doesn't say that. He will never say that all. He goes beyond one step and saying that, okay, mukti is there, but that is not the ultimate salvation for the soul. It is a prelude, is one step ahead of this ultimate salvation for the soul. He calls முக்தி என்பது முன்னூறு சாதனம், சித்தி என்பது நிலை சேர்ந்த அனுபவம். Which is permanent, which is ultimate, is a siddhi. Whatever the mukti you people have been calling so far is the prelude to siddhi. That's what he says. So that's what he says in his masterpiece, Aratparanjodi Agaval. Mukti is a முன்னூறு சாதனம், it's a pre-step, whereas siddhi is a firm step one. According to Swami Vallala, leaving the body for any reason or any spiritual attainment, this cannot be called as the ultimate solution of soul. Since once the body is lost, it has to take a rebirth. Even the Jiva Samadhi also, to some extent, they go into a underground or somewhere saying that I am entering into Jiva Samadhi. There also what happens to the body still to be seen and analyzed. But what Vallalar says, you transform your body, transmute your body in this birth itself. What you have today is an impure body, Asutta Deka. Each and every aspect, which is every, the external organ, says eye, our nose, our ear, our mouth, our body, excreting, every microsecond. So we are all very much aware that the body, what we have today, is a pure body. So if at all we want to evolve our soul into a higher level, higher profile, we need to stop the impurification every second. So the impure body has to get transmuted into pure body. That's the light body. Then the second step is to transform this body of light into body of sound, Pranavadega, and then the body of wisdom or the body of space. You just see the beauty of the word Akai. In Tamil, A means life, Kai means body. So the Siddhas are giving a clue. What is the ultimate form of this body? Kayam. What is the ultimate form of this? Kayam means body. Ultimate form of the body for this Kayam is nothing but Akayam. See up. That's the space above you. So your body should attain the form of, the shape of the Akayam, space. So Vallala speaks about the scientific transmutation and biological transformation here. The impure body to pure body, that's the body of light, the body of sound, and the body of wisdom or space. That's what he says, Siddhi. Here I should mention few words on the saints and sadhus, the seers who have attained this stage earlier. Vallalar is not the first one. There are many saints and sadhus on this soil of Tamil who has attained the state of immortality. For example, Manikavashagar, to whom our Vallalar has got a lot of reverence and respect. He just entered the sanctum sanctorium of Chidambaram temple and disappeared. He didn't leave his body for burial or fire. The only difference is, a second before that, a minute before that, he has not informed anybody that he is going to attain that state of God. The same way, Apparadigal Tirunakarasar went inside the Sanctum Sanctory of Pagalu. And same way, Tinyana Samandar in Achalpura is all written in Arvatmundu Naipar, Kiriyapura. The difference is, nobody has proclaimed that they are going to achieve this state. Whereas, this state of Siddhi, that is transforming your body into light, sound and wisdomic space, his whole life mission, Vallar's whole life mission was to emphasize this, preach this, postulate this, theorize this, explain to the people, sing, write, prose in all forms. The whole life mission was to emphasize this transformation. And 3-4 times it disappeared from the human vision. He prepared the minds of the people, demonstrated. And he demonstrated that this body could be transformed ultimately into the body of wisdom and space. This is the only difference between the other seers preached to him and from himself. Hence, Valalar believed firmly and transformed his own body as a standing testimony that transforming the physical body under 3 stages of transmutation, transgressing the physical body, the body of light and body of sound and body of wisdom of space. Therefore, transforming the physical body into eternal body of wisdom of space is ultimate salvation of the soul. So to summarize, the evolution of soul, the soul is an atom in the space. Peruman calls the Atma as atom. Even in the form of atom, in the Pashandakaram will call, the God was residing in that atomic soul. Then out of mercy, as I was saying, if the soul is having light, soul is having wisdom. So out of Taniperum Karunai, he wanted the soul to evolve with God itself. He gave the physical body there where the evolution starts. He puts that soul into a sperm. Millions of sperm is generated, created in the testicle every second millisecond. And it's stored for 60 days. In each and every single sperm is getting matured in the epidermis. That's the sap where the semen is, the sperm is stored for 60 days. In one sperm, God injects the soul along with the recordings of the entire soul's past life. That's called Mula Prakriti. And also one element of 5 elements, that is space. So soul, Prakriti and space, that's Akaya. That is passed inside a small sperm out of millions of sperms in the epidermis, in the male testicle. Then it reaches the female organ, meets the female egg in the fallopian tube, combines to form a zygote, then blastocyst, then embryo, then fetus, then comes out as a baby. So the journey of soul starts and continues there in the human body with all the tools and faculties given by the God to evolve into higher level, higher degree of God. So in a right path, that is Sat Markam, the path of truth, Sat Markam, the body which is having all ill effects compromises, limitations. Valalar promises that it can attain the God. One should not think, no, it has to have some preconditions for attaining the salvation. Not so. He knows very well that people write such unreliable questions. So he says in his song, not that only special birth people can attain God. It's not like that. ஒத்திய மல பிணி புழு குரம்பைதான் சித்திகள் சுத்த சன்மார்க்க சேர்ப்பினால் நித்தியமாக்கி நிகழும் என்பது சத்தியம் சத்தியம் சத்தியம். So any soul can attain God. That is ultimate salvation for the soul. So with this, I conclude my talk today. I once again thank the organizers of Valalar Universal Mission for having given me this opportunity to share a few of my thoughts on journey of soul, evolution of soul. Thank you very much.